UFC 318 takes place this weekend, and we're going to find out, is Dustin Poirier washed? Can Max Holloway win a trilogy fight? Well, the only way we're going to get the answers to those questions is to watch this video, so let's get into the picks. First fight of the night, we got Carli Judice taking on Nicolle Caliari. Carli Judice is currently the -300 favorite, and there is a lot to like about her. She's a striker with high volume, and she has KO ability. She got a sick head kick in her last fight. She also is a former softball player, meaning she is athletic. She has some athleticism to her, and in this specific matchup, she's going to have both the height and the reach advantages. Nicolle Caliari, she's a BJJ specialist with a ground and pound ability. She has sloppy striking that sets up her takedowns. She kind of reminds me of a flyweight Walter Walker. Not saying they have the same power or same oomph, and she's just a young, hungry Brazilian, 28 years old. She is the type of underdog that I usually like taking. However, in this matchup, I'm going with Carli Judice. I just disappeared to show you who I think's winning this one. I'm taking Carli Judice to win by decision. I think she's just going to out-volume Nicolle over 3 rounds, and as long as the fight stays standing, she should win the fight. And against Gabriel Fernandez, Carli Judice did quite well on the feet, didn't really get taken down that much, so I doubt Nicolle's going to have similar success. So Carli Judice by decision. Next fight on the card, we got Brunno Ferreira taking on Jackson McVey. Brunno Ferreira currently a -700 favorite. Jackson McVey is making his UFC debut. Now, Brunno Ferreira, he's finished all 13 of his wins. He's never won a decision, and he's been finished in both of his losses. So let me reiterate, he's actually never been to a decision in all 15 of his MMA fights. He's an insane KO artist with sneaky BJJ. We saw him get a nice armbar from guard against Armin Petrosyan in his last fight, and he's a 6-fight UFC veteran, and he has some quality wins. He has a knockout over RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez, who's currently in the top 15 of middleweight, and he's taking on Jackson McVey, who he will have the height and reach advantages in this matchup. So if you're a guy that likes to bet simply based on the reach and the height, Jackson McVey is the pick for you. But that's about it, all right? He's making his UFC debut, and he hasn't fought the best competition on regionals. And based on the footage, I don't even know how to describe this guy. His striking is okay. All of his fights end rather quickly, whether it be a flash KO or a really quick submission. So with all that being said, I'm taking Brunno Ferreira to win by KO. Unfortunate for Jackson McVey. I think Brunno Ferreira is just going to knock him out in the first round. Next fight on the card, we got Ryan Spann taking on Lukasz Brzeski. Ryan Spann is currently the -220 favorite, and I would say rightfully so. He's got good KO power, sneaky BJJ. He's going to be the bigger fighter in this fight, height and reach advantages. But the main issue with Ryan Spann is he really only has 1 round of cardio. And now at heavyweight, what he weighed at 240 against Waldo Cortez Acosta. At heavyweight, he's going to have even less cardio. But the good news is he's fighting Lukasz Brzeski, who is 1-5 in the UFC, and the only win he had was a robbery over Walter Walker. So technically, he shouldn't even be signed to the UFC right now. They're really trying to get Ryan Spann a win here in the heavyweight level. He's been KO'd in his last 3 losses, Lukasz that is, and he's a volume striker that has no real power. So if Ryan Spann doesn't get the finish early, Lukasz could potentially win a decision, which would be a crazy outcome, but Ryan Spann should get the job done. I'm taking him by round 1 KO. Even if he doesn't get the KO, I think he can get the sub. He's been showing some good BJJ in his recent fights, but Ryan Spann, if he somehow soils this one, I don't know if you can ever pick or bet Ryan Spann again. This is literally a layup matchup given by Dana White and Hunter Campbell and Sean Shelby. Ryan Spann, you need to win this because heavyweight is mid right now, and we need a random contender. And Ryan Spann, I think, will win this by round 1 KO. Next fight on the card, we got Jimmy Crute taking on Marcin Prachnio. Jimmy Crute sitting at a -285 favorite, and he's a powerful striker with good jiu-jitsu, and he has wrestling upside. But the problem is, he has not won in his last 5 fights, and 2 of those were majority draws. The reason why he's going to majority draws is because he is often 10-8ing the opponent in the first round, and he is also often losing rounds 2 and rounds 3. His cardio seemingly falls off a cliff if he doesn't get the finish early on. He's got a questionable chin as well, so not a lot to like about a minus 300 favorite, but the good news is he's fighting Marcin Prachnio, who's a karate merchant with no real grappling. He got submitted by Modestas Bukauskas in his last fight, giving Bukauskas his first ever UFC submission win. And every loss that Marcin has had at the UFC level has come when he has been taken down and controlled. And I think Jimmy Crute, that's exactly what he's going to do. His wheelhouse is literally wrestling and control. And I think he's going to find the round 1 sub. I'm anticipating Jimmy Crute entertaining the striking for a couple minutes, and then after a while he's gonna get tired of the karate merchant and he's just gonna take him down and submit him. Next fight on the card, we have Adam Fugitt taking on Islam Dulatov. Now, Adam Fugitt comes in as a plus 410 underdog. He's a tricky striker with decent wrestling. The problem is he's had his chin cracked multiple times in the UFC. Granted, he's only been KO'd twice, but it seems like every fight I watch back, every striking exchange, he just looks like his chin is just getting cracked, wobbled. It might come against people that don't have the highest power, which is why he's not always getting KO'd, but he is getting cracked in nearly every fight. And he's also 36 compared to Islam Dulatov, who's 26. Islam Dulatov, he's a crazy in-your-face striker. He's got decent grappling. The main problem with Islam is he hasn't really been truly tested at the MMA level yet, and he's got 500k followers on Instagram. So this guy, yes. Is he handsome? Yes. Is he more handsome than Carlos Ulberg? Potentially speaking. The problem I'm seeing is he has a backup plan if fighting doesn't work out. And usually when fighters have backup plans, they don't do well in their UFC careers. Islam Dulatov has a backup plan as a male model with 500k followers. But with all that being said, I still think he's going to go out there and get the round 1 KO against Adam Fugitt. Adam Fugitt is not going to be the guy that's going to fraud check Dulatov. I think Dulatov will get a win here, maybe win his next matchup if he's match made correctly. But eventually down the line, I think this guy's going to get clapped. He's going to get fraud checked when he's minus 500. I can't wait for that day. But that is not going to be this Saturday. I think Islam will get the round 1 KO. Next fight in the card, we have Ateba Gautier taking on Robert Valentin. Ateba Gautier currently sitting as a minus 550 favorite. He is the middleweight Francis Ngannou. Not just because he has a dark complexion, but it's really because he has insane KO power, and when he hits people, they go to sleep, they go down. He's gonna have the height and the reach advantages in this matchup, and he's currently on a 6-fight KO streak with 5 of those KOs coming in round number 1. If there was gonna be something bad to say about this guy, it's that he hasn't truly been tested in the wrestling and grappling department. In the Contender Series, he got taken down in the first round and controlled for 4 minutes of the first round. So if he's going to fight someone that's going to actively wrestle him, I'm intrigued to see how that matchup would go. But Robert Valentin, is he that guy? Is he the one that's going to actively shoot takedowns? He's last season's tough runner-up, so he doesn't really even deserve a roster spot. He already lost to Torres Finney. He's winless in the UFC. He got dominated in wrestling in both of his losses, also against Ryan Loder. He's got tricky striking, but he doesn't really shoot for takedowns, and if you're not going to shoot for takedowns against Ateba, I don't really know how you win. So with that being said, Ateba Gautier by KO is going to be my pick. I think he's going to do it in round number 1. Next fight, we got Francisco Prado taking on Nikolay Veretennikov. Francisco Prado currently sits as a minus 160 favorite, and all 12 of his wins have come inside the distance. He has 6 KO wins, 6 submission wins, and 3 losses by decision. This guy does not know how to win minutes of a fight. He's either going all in or he's all out. He's a plotty striker. He's got terrible striking accuracy, to be honest. He can mix in takedowns, but I'm not trusting a 23-year-old to fight a good game plan. He usually just hurls winging shots. And against a guy like Nikolay Veretennikov, who's going to have the height, the reach, and the age advantage in this matchup, I don't know if that's going to work out. Nikolay, there's not really a lot to like, but I do like that he's going to be longer, and I do like that he's got decent power. He's a decent striker. He brought Michael Morales to a close decision. He brought Danny Barlow to a close decision. Two powerful punchers, two guys that hit harder than Francisco Prado. So with all that being said, I think there's enough here to take a dog shot on Nikolay. I think he can win this by decision. Prado's never won a decision. He doesn't know how to win them. So if Prado were to win, it's going to have to be by finish. Granted, Nikolay did get taken down and controlled and dominated and KO'd on the ground by Vanderford in his last fight, but Francisco Prado is coming up from lightweight. He's really smaller. He's not as big as Vanderford. He doesn't actively wrestle like Vanderford. So if this stays standing, I'm expecting Nikolay to pepper Prado at range and win a decision. Next fight on the card, we got Marvin Vettori taking on Brendan Allen. Marvin Vettori currently sits as a plus 175 underdog, and he's going to have a lot of volume, but he's not going to have any power. He has decent takedown defense. He's got an ironclad chin, and if you look back at his last 8 fights, they've all been against top 15 middleweights. This guy has been fighting ranked contenders for, 5+ years at this point. He's taken on Brendan Allen, who is a high-level grappler. He's got not good striking. So if this stays on the feet, I expect Marvin Vettori to win the striking exchanges. I think Brendan Allen will lose if he can't control Vettori on the mat. And if you look at Brendan Allen's last 2 fights, he landed 14 significant strikes against Fluffy Hernandez, and he landed 30 strikes against Nasruddin Imavov. Both fights went the full 15 minutes, and he couldn't eclipse 30 strikes in either of them. He gassed badly after round 1 in both of those fights. He won round 1 on both scorecards in both of those fights. So for all those reasons, I'm taking Marvin Vettori to win this by decision. I think as long as he does not get taken down relentlessly, I think he will win the striking exchanges, and he's going to win a decision here. Next fight on the card, we got Kyler Phillips taking on Vinicius Oliveira. Kyler Phillips currently sitting as a plus 140 underdog. Kyler Phillips is a high-level striker who mixes in takedowns. He's going to have the experience advantage. He's had 8 UFC fights, and he's going to be the longer fighter in the cage. He's getting written off, though, because he failed the Rob Font test. This is really reminding me of Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima, which took place a couple weeks ago. Prospect versus prospect violence. One guy is the favorite because the other guy got seemingly fraud-checked. Vinicius Oliveira, he is also a high-level striker who mixes in takedowns. All 3 losses that Vinicius has have come by KO. He is 4-0 to the decision. So if he were to lose, potentially speaking, it would be by knockout. He's pretty good at winning the minutes of a fight. And like I said, prospect versus prospect violence, I feel like this is more of a coin flip than it is a slam dunk Vinicius pick. I think Kyler Phillips, if he just doesn't get starched, which is highly unlikely, and if he doesn't get taken down and controlled, which is highly unlikely, I think Kyler Phillips low-key is the better, trickier striker. So for those reasons, I'm going to lean with Kyler Phillips to win this one by decision. As long as he doesn't get taken down and he's actually the one actively shooting takedowns, I think he can win this fight. I'm not ready to write him off completely after the Rob Font loss. He went to another level against Pedro Munoz, and I'm still confident this guy's got something in his bag, so I'm taking Kyler Phillips, another underdog, to win by decision. Next fight on the card, we got Michael Johnson taking on Daniel Zellhuber. Michael Johnson currently plus 425 underdog. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. He's an old head striker with questionable durability. He has streaks where he looks like God, where he KOs Dustin Poirier, or he has streaks where he looks like he should be cut, like when he got controlled and mauled by Khabib. So his cardio tends to leave as the fight wanes on. He's kind of like a round 1 KO or bust. Daniel Zellhuber, he's a rangy striker. He's got decent grappling. He tends to keep fights close. Almost all of his wins have been decided on thin margins. He's won a 29-28 scorecard, and nearly all of his UFC wins that haven't come by finish. So if Zellhuber's not finding the finish, this could be actually a razor-close fight, a lot closer than plus 425. He's going to be the longer fighter. He's going to be taller, and he's 13 years younger than Michael Johnson. That's just enough for me to take Daniel Zellhuber to win this by decision. I sincerely doubt Michael Johnson can win a decision here. I think he's going to have to KO Zellhuber to win. And we saw Zellhuber take 1,000,000 strikes against Esteban Ribovic at the Sphere. So I sincerely doubt Michael Johnson is finding the finish. So for all those reasons, we're going with Zellhuber by decision. Next fight on the card, we got Dan Ige taking on Patricio Pitbull. Dan Ige currently the -200 favorite. He's going to have the height advantage, the age advantage, and the reach advantages in this matchup, which is interesting to note because Dan Ige is usually the smaller fighter in the octagon. He's a power puncher, he's a low-volume striker, and he mixes in takedowns. He's 12-0 to the finish, never been knocked out, never been submitted, but he's 7-9 to the decision. So often he will get a knockdown. So even if he gets knockdowns, he tends to lose those fights by decision. Patricio Pitbull, on the other hand, he landed 10 significant strikes that weren't leg kicks in his only UFC fight so far. He hit Yair Rodriguez 10 times over 15 minutes in a fight that stayed standing for nearly the entirety of it. He can mix in takedowns, but we've yet to see him do it at the UFC level. He got knocked down by Yair, and he got KO'd 2 fights ago in Bellator. So with all that being said, I don't see how you can possibly take Patricio Pitbull. Number one, because he's a Bellator alumni, and Bellator fighters stink, except for MVP. MVP is doing all right, but Bellator fighters usually are just not good. And number two, he looked like a complete fish out of water against Yair. So with that being said, I'm actually taking Dan Ige to win this by finish. I think if Dan Ige wins this, it will be inside the distance. Not saying I think Patricio will win a decision, but I think Dan Ige is just going to show Patricio levels. Next fight on the card, we got Kevin Holland at -450 taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez, if you guys are followers of the page, you would know that he was a former Finns Hammerlock. In his last fight, he was the Finns Hammerlock against Santiago Ponzinibbio. He cashed us out as an underdog, but let's get into the breakdown. Kevin Holland, he's going to have the height, reach, and age advantages in this matchup. He's got KO ability, he's got elite jiu-jitsu, and he can basically win this fight by any means necessary. You look at Daniel Rodriguez, he's a one-dimensional high-volume striker. So if Kevin Holland decides he wants to turn this into a sparring match like he did against Jack Della Maddalena, I think Rodriguez could win a decision. But other than that, that's the only way I see Rodriguez winning. Kevin Holland's winning this fight by KO. I don't see any other way to go about picking this, about betting this. Kevin Holland inside the distance is seemingly a lock. D-Rod, he is a little chinny, can be way slower, and the last time D-Rod fought someone that was not an unk, that was not a similar age to him, he got completely starched in a minute by Ian Machado Gary. So I think Kevin Holland is going to do something similar here. I think he's going to starch Daniel Rodriguez early. So we're going with Kevin Holland by round 1 KO. That brings me to the co-main event of the evening. We got Paulo Costa taking on Roman Kopylov. Paulo Costa currently the +195 underdog, and he's a powerful striker who rarely mixes in takedowns, although against Luke Rockhold he landed 2. He throws with higher volume than Roman, so if this were to stay standing for 5 rounds, for 3 rounds, whatever it is, Paulo Costa, I believe, will win the striking exchanges. And 6 of his last 7 fights have been against top 10 ranked middleweights. This is going to be the first guy Costa has faced in over 5 years that is not in the current top 15 at middleweight. But let's look at Roman Kopylov. He's a powerful striker who also rarely mixes in takedowns, copy and paste as you see. He's low volume and he often slows down as the fight progresses. I'm not going to say that he has bad cardio, but Kopylov definitely slows down as the fight goes on. And this is going to be by far the highest level of competition Roman will have faced to this point. So riddle me this. If this stays standing for 15 minutes, do you truly think that Roman Kopylov will find a finish? No. Do you truly think that Roman Kopylov will win a striking battle against Paulo Costa? You might think that. I don't think that. I'm taking Paulo Costa to win by decision. I think he's going to have the takedown upside. Roman Kopylov does horrible against people who actively wrestle him. And I think Paulo Costa is going to have the volume upside. I don't think either guy is getting chinned here. So Paulo Costa, I think, will have more power than Roman Kopylov. And Paulo Costa desperately needs this win to prove that he's still of the elites of middleweight. Honestly, I mean, what has he done lately? Nothing. He's only beaten Luke Rockhold since 2019, and his only win before that was Yoel Romero in a narrow, close split decision. He needs to beat Roman Kopylov to put his name back on the map in the UFC. If he were to lose this, it would be a career disaster. Roman Kopylov, he can afford to lose this. Granted, he is 34 years old, but I think Roman Kopylov can lose this and still keep moving forward. Paulo Costa, I think, will retire and just become full-time Twitter analyst if he loses this fight, which I just simply don't think will happen. So, Paulo Costa to win this by decision. And that brings me to the main event of the evening. The BMF title is on the line. Max Holloway minus 135 taking on Dustin, the Diamond Poirier. And let's do the quick breakdown. Max Holloway is going to be high volume, low power striker. He recently got KO'd by Ilya for the first time in his career. He has lost by sub and by decision to Dustin. This is a trilogy fight, with Dustin winning the first two of those fights. And if you look at their most recent fight, which took place at lightweight, Max lost 49-46 on all three scorecards. So, what has changed since then? I don't really know. Dustin Poirier, this is his retirement fight, meaning he has nothing real to fight for, but maybe if he beats Max, he could potentially, in an ideal world, challenge Ilya for the belt. He will land the bigger shots. We saw it in both of their first two fights. Dustin was landing the bigger shots. Max is landing more volume. If Dustin doesn't land a big shot, Max wins the round. That's basically how it goes. And he's going to have takedown upside, but if you look at their last fight, Dustin was shooting takedowns, Max was shooting takedowns, Dustin was going for a ghillie, Max was going for a Darce choke. I don't really know what's going to happen in this fight. There's a million outcomes that could happen. Either guy can win by sub, which is surprising to say. Either guy, I think, can win by KO. They've both been chin at this point, but the most likely outcome is one of them wins by decision. And I see most of my sharp friends, most of Twitter, saying Max Holloway is the lockiest lock of all locks. But I'm just simply not doing that. Dustin Poirier is winning in Louisiana. I think he's going to win by decision. Let's just be real. Dustin Poirier lands with more power than Max, and Max just got his chin cracked. So what does Max have to offer at this point if he has no durability? The answer is, I don't really know. Dustin Poirier, I think, will win this by decision and challenge Ilya. Now, before I let you guys go, here are my most confident takes of UFC 318. Ryan Spann moneyline. There's just no way this guy loses. Even if his cardio falls off a cliff after round one, I still think he's taking home the dub. Jimmy Crute moneyline. Marcin Prachnio is just not well-rounded. He's just simply a striker, and if Jimmy Crute gets takedowns, which he definitely should, he is going to win that fight. Brendan Allen and Marvin Vettori to go the distance. Marvin Vettori can't KO a sandwich. Brendan Allen will not be able to submit Marvin Vettori, I don't believe. So if neither of those things happen, it's going to go the distance. Kevin Holland moneyline. All right, this is a huge mismatch. Kevin Holland should be minus 5,000. I don't see any path to victory for D-Rod other than if Kevin Holland just does not try. And finally, Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov to also go the distance. Both guys are super durable. Don't see a KO happening either side. Don't see a sub happening either side. So it's going to go to decision at a high clip. Here are my 5 most confident takes for UFC 318.